Hello, Seth Peterson here, and we're on the last step, step 9 of the buying process, which is the closing. Now, the main thing that's happening at closing is the seller is signing the deed over to the buyer. And we're usually closing at a title company because we need that deed to be notarized and we need that deed to be recorded with the Register of Deeds. So the title company does that all the time, and we can trust that they're going to take care of that in a responsible way, basically. So that's the main thing that's happening. There's also a closing statement that the title company is going to be able to provide for us, and that's just showing all the numbers, all the purchase price and the closing costs and any credits that might be a part of this. And then it'll be a final number of here's what the buyer has to bring to closing, and here's what the seller is going to get at the end of closing. So that closing statement's another form that the buyer and seller will sign at closing. Now, if it's a cash offer, that's pretty much it. And the buyer actually doesn't have anything that needs to be notarized in that situation. So a buyer could do a closing via email on a cash offer. And I've been a part of that before. So it's usually not what you're thinking of with a closing, but yeah, it could be as simple as just signing some things and scanning it back to the title company on the buying side of it. But usually the buyer is getting a mortgage loan, so it's not a cash offer. And in that situation, they're very likely going to the title company, at the time of closing. So most of the time, the buyer and seller both are at the closing, at the same time. And so in addition to the paperwork I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of loan paperwork that the buyer is going to have to sign. So that's really what takes up most of the closing, is going through that loan package and the closer explaining the different forms, and then the buyer signing everything that they need to sign. So that's pretty much what the closing is. Of course, the buyer is bringing them a check, or maybe they wired the funds, but they need to bring some money. Their lender should have wired the funds to the title company as well. So as soon as the title company has the funds and all the paperwork is completed and notarized, then we're done with closing. It's usually about an hour or so, and then the buyer and seller might exchange numbers, or maybe they have a couple of questions like, what day do you take garbage out and things like that. Otherwise, the seller should give them the keys, garage door openers, and that's the end of it. And right away, the buyer can go straight to that house and start moving in. So that's the closing, and that's the end of the 9 steps to buying a home. So hopefully it gave you a good groundwork of information here, so you can understand what it takes to buy a home. And if you're in the Madison-Dane County area, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about your home search. Otherwise, happy house hunting.